separation of a dye is based on the polarity of the silica gel on the TLC paper and also on the polarity of the solvent.
To get a better separation, a less polar solvent should be used. This ensures that the dyes will separate more quickly and won't react as much with the very polar silica gel. In order to put the dye on your plate, use a capillary tube and get some of the dye out of the bottle and put it onto your plate in a small dot. Only a small dot will be okay, and you put it on the line that is 2 centimeters away from the bottom. Then you continue putting the dots on your plate, making sure they're evenly spaced apart.
Okay, so I have my dye, and what you do is you take a capillary tube. You'll then get a little bit of dye, like that, and you put it on a dot that you drew on a 2 centimeter line.
Go.
First you take a capillary tube and you place it into one of your dyes. And then I'm doing a third dye, so I'm making sure that it's evenly spaced apart, and I gently tap it like so. Yeah.
Now I place my TLC plate into my beaker full of solvent so that the solvent can separate my dyes, and I put the plastic wrap on top so that the vapors inside my beaker will reach equilibrium.
Next, I place my TLC paper into my beaker full of solvent. And then I place my plastic wrap on top. Next, I place my TLC plate into my beaker of solvent and to allow them to separate. Then I place my plastic wrap over it. Now that my food has finished separating into their different colors, I'm going to remove my plastic wrap from the top. And I'm about to draw my line of solvent. And this is the 1:1:1 solvent. This just indicates the line of solvent. Alright, now I'm going to measure the distance traveled by my solvent, which is, it's a little bit over 4.5 centimeters. So 4.5 centimeters. Now I'm about to measure the distance that my methyl red dye traveled from the center of the separation, and it's approximately 3 3/4 centimeters. I put that under distance of my solute. I put 3.75 centimeters. I'm about to measure my RF factor. To measure this, I divide my distance traveled by my solute. In this case, it'll be the methyl red by the distance traveled of my solvent. So I will divide 3.75 into 4.5, and I get 0.833.
Now I'm going to measure the distance that my solvent traveled. So I measure from the 2 centimeter line, and my solvent traveled 5.1 centimeters. So I put that in my notebook. Solvent traveled 5.1 centimeters. And the distance that my methyl red traveled, you do that, and then you measure in the center of it. So it would be 4.4 centimeters. And to get my RF factor, you do 4.4, the distance that the dye traveled, divided by 5.1, the distance that the solvent traveled, and it would be 0.86.
now I'm going to take my TLC paper out of the solvent. And I'm going to make a line where the solvent stopped. Dang. 5.2 centimeters. Okay. I'm then going to measure how far my methyl red traveled, which is the first. And you measure it at the darkest area. So I get 3.5 centimeters. Then to get the reference, I divide the distance traveled by the methyl red by the distance traveled of the solvent. So it'd be 3.5 divided by 5.2, and I get 0.67.